Here are at least 3 ways that DIY homebuyers save tens of thousands of dollars purchasing a home without using a traditional buyer's agent. Number 1 is that DIY homebuyers can negotiate a purchase price reduction or closing cost credit paid by the seller that is equivalent to whatever the seller was prepared to offer to a buyer's agent. Now, sometimes sellers make these offers of buyer agent compensation up front. Sometimes they just leave it to be negotiated by the buyer and buyer agent. But in nearly all cases, sellers are prepared for the fact that a buyer will likely have an agent and will likely want the seller to compensate that agent. DIY buyers use that knowledge to their advantage to negotiate 2 to 3% either off the purchase price or as a closing cost credit. Number 2 is that in highly competitive situations, the DIY homebuyer has typically about 2 to 3% more in purchasing power than buyers who have an agent that they want the seller to compensate. So for easy math, on $1 million home, the DIY homebuyer can offer $1 million with no seller concession, and their offer will be more attractive financially than a buyer who offers $1,025,000 but wants the seller to pay a 3% buyer agency fee. This means that at no additional cost to the DIY homebuyer, they have a more competitive offer, which is just crazy to think about, that if that other person were to win, they're paying $25,000 more with interest over 30 years. Insane. Finally, DIY homebuyers are better able to negotiate and advocate for themselves than traditionally represented homebuyers. And that's because buyer agents are internally conflicted. Yes, they have a fiduciary responsibility to their clients, but they also have to think about their own income. And the more that a buyer asks them to negotiate, whether that's purchase price, repairs, credits, the greater likelihood there is of that deal falling apart. And the agent only gets paid if that deal actually closes. So they are going to be less aggressive or less apt to negotiate for what's in your best interest as a home buyer than you would be if you were the one handling all the negotiations yourself. And I understand that negotiations can be very stressful and unfamiliar for some people, but that's why I help you work through it. So there you have it. 3 ways DIY homebuyers save. Number 1 is that you're able to negotiate purchase price reductions or seller credits. Number 2 is that you have increased buying power. Number 3 is that you're better able to handle your own negotiations. Let me know though what you think. Agree, disagree, other ways that you see that DIY homebuyers have an advantage in this market. I want to hear it all.